Joker struggling like that for a second game in a row. I didn't expect Patrick Beverley and Terrence Mann to have that kind of impact. I did expect a little rust from Chris Paul. And hell, I expected the Clippers to win. Here's the thing though. One game away from this series being tied. We might have ourselves a 7-game series. First take in the house. Let's go.
Great theater through the first 2 games of this series, and Chris Paul is back.
All our guys are back together. He's the guy.
Bombs to the rim. Punched into the Andre Ayton.
Was inside for the slam.
They can't be the more desperate team.
Oh, he banks it in. It's good.
Clippers are the hardest working team on the court tonight. We just play hard. Just win or go home, in my opinion, right now. I would just leave it on the floor.
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take on this Feel Good Friday. We got some beats happening. I'm into it. Hi, Max Kellerman. I'm Molly Karen Rose. Hey, Stephen A. Before we get started, I know there was something you wanted to tell us real quick.
What's going on? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Before we get into the show, Max, I don't need a comment. Molly, I don't need a comment. I just want to say something. The Los Angeles Clippers fans should be ashamed of themselves. They were an absolute disgrace last night. I mean, people coming late. Barely coming at all. The crowd was timid. The crowd was tepid. Let me tell you something right now. Watch the games in Milwaukee. You'll see those fans going ballistic. I was in Atlanta for the Knicks-Hawks series. Those fans are going ballistic. Max, Molly, you got to get yourself out to the valley because the Phoenix Suns fans are off the chain. I mean, it's electrifying, the kind of atmosphere where your hair is standing up on your skin. Everybody's hyped. And the Los Angeles Clippers, here you are in the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers ain't there, but you are. And you waited all of these years for this team to get here. And I'm talking about they strolling up in the second quarter. I don't want to hear about no LA traffic and all of this other stuff. It's the Western Conference Finals. Even when they got there, they weren't nearly as loud. Last week in Game 6 against the Utah Jazz when they closed it out, that was an electrifying environment. You would have thought that would have been the case yesterday, last night, but it wasn't. The Los Angeles fans need to step the hell up. You know why? Because if the Clippers are successful, like I said to Magic Johnson the other day, that puts more of an onus on the Lakers to be more successful as well. And anytime you got that kind of atmosphere going on in Los Angeles when it comes to basketball, it's great for the NBA. I was very disappointed in the Clippers fans last night, and I just want to say that.
All three of us know LA does not care about the Clippers. They don't care about the Clippers.
Stop. That's not what this is about.
But that's why they're like that.
Listen, the Clippers are the only team playing in basketball. If you care about basketball,
no, they don't.
This is not about the Clippers.
No. LA actively doesn't like the Clippers. LA roots against the Clippers.
I just finished saying to you last Friday against the Utah Jazz in Game 6, I've never seen a Clippers environment like that in my life. It was spectacular. But a week later, here you are. You don't show up. You love basketball. You love basketball. Be there.
In the first ever Western Conference Finals home game in franchise history. First ever they didn't show up.
So what?
No, they should.
That's even more of a reason to be excited.
Yeah.
But they got the job done. So, guys, let's get right into it now because we do have a series, folks. The Clippers get one at home, even without Kawhi Leonard, even without the fans showing up on the court and on the return of Chris Paul. So, PG-13, 27-15, and 8, plus some in-game heroics from half court. Paul, how'd you pull off the win?
We knew we had to take care of home court. And, this is a scrappy team. We have to match their physicality. I thought we did that. We have to match their scrappiness. I thought we did that. And that's really the key. We can't allow this team to play harder than us. And I thought that was just the way we approached tonight.
They outplayed us tonight. You know what I mean? We didn't make shots. You could tell they had, a lot more energy. And I got to be better. I shot terrible. You know what I mean? I got to pick up the pace. We'll be ready game 4.
He was a little rusty, but he certainly can dress. The Clippers are attempting their third second down 2-0 comeback in this series. Can they pull it off? LA has a 9-1 record after games 1 and 2 with 5 double-digit wins when trailing by multiple games. Game 4 is tomorrow night on ESPN. Stephen A., is this more about the Suns or the Clippers?
I'm going to let Max go first on this. Go ahead, Max.
Oh, it's the Clippers. I'll save. I'm going to say the Clippers, and I'll save CP3 and Devin Booker for you. But this is the Clippers. This is Ty Lue. You got to give it to the guy. It's not like he didn't coach well in the first 2 games, considering he didn't have his best player, and they lost by the skin of their teeth on the road. In front of a raucous crowd. Stephen A is complaining their crowd isn't good, but the Phoenix crowd was good. And they won. They came within a possession of winning both games, really. And that's Ty Lue in the last series. He goes to the small ball lineup, Nick Batum. And in this series, he realizes, wait, I got to get bigger. Puts in Zubac, right? But then it's not just, well, okay, fine, I've made this one substitution, basically, or changed the rotation a little bit. What happened last night that was even different from game 2? It was a very close game. It's Zubac and Morris off the bench. There's no Boogie Cousins in the rotation. There's Terrence Mann defensively getting an enormous assignment. There's Patrick Beverley. So first it's the in-game adjustments and the in-series adjustments. But then it's also, Stephen A., the confidence Ty Lue instills in his team. I'm thinking of the play where Kennard, late in the game, missed that 3. Remember, it would have put him up 19. The game would have been done in the fourth quarter. He misses the 3. They come back on the other end. They hit a 3. It's now a 13-point game. They cut it to single digits, and you started getting the feeling, here it comes, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. They're going to do it again. They could sweep the Clippers. But they remained resilient. That has a lot to do with their leader, who is, in fact, their coach, Ty Lue.
Ty Lue may very well be the best coach in basketball right now. And what I love about it is that he could have had the Knicks job. Not the Knicks job. He should have had the Brooklyn Nets job. That wasn't to be. He should have had the Lakers job. That wasn't to be. But what I love about him right now is that without LeBron James, he's showing his brilliance as a coach and showing that he's a top-notch coach that should have been given far more credit than he ever received. That's number one. Having said all of that, I would tell you it's still the Suns for me as it pertains to the question because of the shooting woes of Devin Booker and Chris Paul, obviously. 5 for 21, 5 for 19, a combined 10 for 40. They haven't missed 30 shots in the game all year long. But that's what happened last night. You can also attribute injuries to it to some degree because Cameron Payne being out after just 4 minutes due to an ankle injury is a tremendous loss. How do we know this? Because in game 2, the brother played 37 minutes backing up CP3, who was out due to COVID. And what happened? This dude drops 29 points, 8 assists without a single turnover. 0 turnovers in 37 minutes. That's a brother you miss when you consider that, particularly when he shot 50% from the field in that game as well, en route to those 29 points. He pushes the ball up the floor. He's aggressive. His aggression and his athleticism can match what the Beverleys and the Terrence Manns of the world may throw at you. And we know they played stout defense on Devin Booker. But let's face reality. If we really calling it like we see it, this dude got his nose broke in game 2. He's playing with a mask on in game 3. So I'll throw him a slight mulligan in that regard. But in the end, it comes down to CP3 and Devin Booker. If they play like that, Phoenix is going to lose this series. They know they have to play better. They have to be better. You can't be that ineffective and that inefficient against these Clippers. We see how exceptionally well coached they are. We see that they're a bunch of rough riders. We see that they're not scared of anything. And you combine that with Booker and CP3 shooting the ball the way that they did. I'm sorry, and let me not forget to put Zubac in there with 16 points, 15 rebounds. We've been raving about DeAndre Ayton, but Zubac sold up last night and was formidable in and of himself. So all of those things played a role.
Well, you can't deny injury. Like Payne and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, you can point to bad luck, and you'd be right. Just like you could point to bad luck with Kawhi, and you'd also be right. I've said from the beginning, injury has completely decided the playoffs this series. Every series, you're seeing the best or second best player on the team out with injury, like starting with the Lakers and KD and AD LeBron and AD, and the Nets, obviously Harden and Kyrie in every series, and this series is no different. But again, the Clippers were on the other end of that when they weren't playing with Kawhi, who they still didn't have. And we didn't, when we were analyzing that game, simply say, well, they don't have Kawhi, therefore we lost. You have to get into why. You're absolutely right to say Devin Booker shows up basically with a broken face and a face mask. It probably affected his shooting. Chris Paul comes off of health and safety protocols, or did he have COVID? Like, I don't know. But clearly he was affected. He was rusty. He was not the usual Chris Paul. Cameron Payne hurt him earlier, and if he's not all those things are true. Then the question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you prepared for the opportunity? And a lot of other coaches, Stephen A., other than if it's not Ty Lue, don't have the courage to make those kind of adjustments, the courage of their convictions, and say, nope, we're going to change this right now. Ty Lue does, and he's not afraid to. We think about, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but the Philadelphia 76ers, do they lose that series if Ty Lue is their coach?
Well, probably not, because Ty Lue probably would have benched Ben Simmons. So that's something that's worthy of pointing out. I don't know the answer to that question, but what I will tell you is this. When you look at these playoffs, we got a Clippers team. Just like I said, these playoffs are, injuries aside, these playoffs have been incredibly thrilling. I mean, right now, night to night, we're looking at the Atlanta Hawks, and I said to you the other day, they could win the championship. Well, guess what? So could the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard.
I don't see him winning the championship without Kawhi, Stephen A.
I didn't say I see it, man. I said they could. That's all I'm trying to say.
Everything's up for grabs.
And what I mean is everything's up for grabs, because right now, let's say, for example, Atlanta. Suppose Atlanta beats Milwaukee, and then the Clippers go end up upending Phoenix. And then you got those Rough Riders putting the same kind of defense on Trae Young that we saw them do against Devin Booker over the last 2 games, or to a lesser degree CP3 last night. All I'm trying to say is that it's really up for grabs, and you don't know, which makes it very exciting.
If they can win a championship without Kawhi, put Ty Lue in the Hall of Fame right now. Stephen A., the reason I brought up the Clippers is who was their last coach? Doc Rivers. If Doc was the coach of the Clippers, they'd be down 0-3 right now.
Interesting point. We'll get into that a little bit later. The other part that's interesting, Stephen A., it's all up for grabs. We also have 4 teams that haven't won a chip since the merger, which is, I think, 76. We'll keep it rolling here, fellas. More good stuff to get to in the NBA. The Hall of Famer, Scottie Pippen, talking all things